Right.
All right. You guys have a rad show. I'll give you a countdown, Celia. I'll text you. It's probably like, you're probably like within a minute. Crush it, you two. Thanks, Sonia. Thanks, Magda. You guys rule. You're awesome moms.
Sweet. I love it.
Oh, the baby crying?
Yes.
All right, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening. We have a really special show tonight, and thank you very much for tuning into the ABCs of Sports Nutrition. I'm your host this week, Celia Santi. I'm the Senior Experience Manager here at GOO. And at GOO, we truly believe that eating is training. The food that we eat is a key factor in overall health, athletic performance, and longevity in sport. And we have a really special episode tonight. I have two incredible athletes, both also super moms, who are excited to share some of their favorite plant-based recipes during this very interactive cooking show. But before we dig in, introductions. So Sonia, I'm going to start out with you. We have Sonia Looney and mindset, nutrition, in sport. These three things have powered cyclist Sonia Looney to the top of her sport. With over 15 state wins across the globe and a 24-hour champion title to her name, Sonia is no stranger to thriving in challenging and long events. She takes her research and learnings off the bike to her top-ranked podcast, The Sonia Looney Show, helps others with nutrition backed by Cornell plant-based nutrition certification, and is currently becoming a health coach at Vanderbilt University. She's not busy at all. Sonia's goal is to help people be better every day and to show people that they can find their true potential through doing hard things. Welcome, Sonia.
Hi, everyone.
And I'd also love to introduce Magda Boulet. Olympic marathoner Magda earned a spot on the U.S. Olympic team in 2000. She studied at UC Berkeley and earned her bachelor's degree in human biodynamics in 1997, and then a master's degree in exercise physiology from Cal State Hayward. At the age of 37, Magda set a personal best in the 5K, 10K, and marathon. At the age of 40, Magda found a new challenge and inspiration in distances beyond the marathon. After a successful first year in ultra running, Magda won the prestigious Western States 100-mile endurance run in 2015. Last but not least, Magda lives with her family in Oakland, California, and leads innovation and product development at GOO Energy Labs. Her approach to nutrition and fueling is simple. Timing is everything. Good food, strong coffee is meant to be shared with others. Welcome, Magda and Sonia. All right, I'm hungry. The food we eat is a key factor in overall health and athletic performance. And I would love to know, we're going to be cooking some plant-based meals. Can you tell me how to make these delicious elements easy and how to fit into our lives?
All right, I guess. Well, I guess I'll take that. So eating plant-based, a lot of times people think, oh, like eating plant-based is healthier, but I don't want to give up flavor. I don't want to just eat vegetables all day long. I'm not going to feel satisfied. I'm not going to feel comforted by my food, or I'm not going to just fit in with the people around me. But the awesome thing about plant-based, especially now, is that there are so many options out there so that you can take any type of food flavor that you like. If you're like Italian food, if you like Japanese food, if you like burgers and fries, you can turn it into a plant-based option that is nutrient dense, that's going to help you have lots of energy. It's going to give you more longevity. It's going to make you feel good and have more mental clarity, and it's going to help you perform on the bike. And a lot of times food is kind of bland, just in general, not even just plant-based food. So today in all of our cooking and recipes, you'll see lots of tips and tricks that we use to spice things up to get your palate hungry for more.
I love it. I'm gonna jump in here a little bit, and maybe I'll share a little bit of the story how I got to, just focusing more on whole food, because that's really key. Because you can have junk food, plant-based diet as well. And I think both Sonia and I are here to tell you that whole foods and plant-based forward it's a key to to our daily foundation in nutrition, and also it's what improves our athletic performance. But I want to start by saying that a lot of the influence that I bring to my cooking has been by how I grew up. So I grew up in Poland, and I have a lot of Eastern European flavors that I bring to my cooking. A lot of root vegetables, and when I was in high school, I moved to US, and I came to this land of fresh produce all the time, and that has been just such an inspiration for me, because growing up in Poland, we had to preserve a lot of the foods, especially from summer to fall, so you could enjoy vegetables and fruit during winter time. So it was a way to preserve food. And now living in California, you have access to fresh produce year round, and just amazing, beautiful fresh produce that you can use in daily cooking. And for me it's been really easy to really enjoy this style of cooking, and I can't wait to share some of the recipes that are, again, we believe that it's really easy to make it flavorful, using bold flavors, and get nice and nutritious meals throughout the day. So let's get going.
So Magda, well, speaking of all of these delicious vegetables, I think that you have an awesome salad recipe that you'd like to share with us.
I do. So today we're going to present what in my house we call this grain salad, but it's everything but your kitchen sink. So basically whatever you have in your fridge, it's easy to make, and I chopped some of the vegetables, but not all of them, but it's grain-based, and you'll see me walking away, but I usually make a nice family big bowl, because good food is meant to be shared, right? It's all about not just what I enjoy cooking or what I find really delicious, but also sharing it with others. So I usually like to do family style, and for those at home that have picky eaters, this is actually what was motivating for me to make, because it's really hard to pick out stuff that you might not necessarily like. So you chop your vegetables really fine. You use any grain you want. Today we're picking quinoa, because quinoa is it's high in protein. It's not necessarily a grain, it's a seed, but it's used like a grain. But you can also use rice, you can use millet, you can use, I grew up on buckwheat, which is really nutty and earthy, very similar to quinoa. So you can really spice things up with the salad, and I find recipe kind of as a guidance, but you should definitely bring your own flavor to cooking. And I can't tell you how easy this salad is. So I started by chopping kale, and I used fresh kale. I didn't steam it. Because once you cook the quinoa with lentils, so if you haven't seen quinoa, I actually use rainbow quinoa, so they're all different colors. They come in red, brown, and white, and you can get a mix. You can get one color if you would like. And then I used today red lentils, but you could use whatever beans you like that you have. You can use a can of beans as well. But both quinoa and lentils cook really fast. So you just bring it to boil, and then you let it sit while you chop all your vegetables. So today I have chopping with the quinoa, and I'm actually going to pretend like I boiled already the quinoa.
The magic of the cooking show.
Yes, the magic of the cooking show, you guys. It cooked literally in 5 minutes. And what I'm going to do is, so this is usually nice and warm, and you cover the quinoa, and while you chop all the other vegetables, it will steam the quinoa for you, so it's easier to digest. but not overcook, right? Because you want all the nutrients to be nice and fresh. So again, all the beautiful colors, the kale is underneath, but once it's all covered with the fresh veggies, we'll mix it all up with some olive oil and salt and pepper, any other spice you would like. So really quickly, decorate your salad. And I like to arrange before I mix it in, I like to arrange it because presentation is everything. So chopped carrots, tomatoes, and tomatoes are in season right now, so cherry tomatoes. Not on the recipe, but bell peppers, yellow. So all the colors, right? We always talk about eating a rainbow. All the colors that you have. So we've got some orange, some red. We have some purple with red cabbage. A lot of phytonutrients come from all these beautiful vegetables, vitamins, and really all the minerals and vitamins. Every color you have phytonutrients. Chopping
Delicious.
it nice
This
and
is looking beautiful too.
chopping and fine is also key to enjoying great flavor. And also not in my recipe today, but I brought a special treat for Sonia because I know she loves figs, and I have a fig tree, so I brought some to decorate on at the end. But a little bit of avocado for healthy. So we have some whole grains here. We've got some seeds. We have don't have any nuts, but we have healthy oils, pumpkin seeds to decorate, a little bit of good and magnesium. So we'll grab a spoon really quickly to scoop out the avocado. Literally 10-15 minutes, and a little bit of olive oil.
So Magda, you said from start to finish, you think this would take around 15, maybe 20 minutes?
Right. While you chopping, you have to have, purple, right? The red cabbage and blueberries. So 10-15 minutes because it's how good are you at chopping vegetables, right? Because everything is already steaming. So check this out. Looks nice and pretty, but now you mix it in with the quinoa. Make sure that avocado is breaking apart. If you would like to decorate this with more greens, like arugula maybe on top, you could use spinach instead of kale. A little bit of salt and pepper. Get your electrolytes, especially on run.
Especially when it's hot like it is today in Oakland.
All right. So very simple flavor today. You get a lot of the flavor from the vegetables as well as from the quinoa, which is also very nutty and earthy. And if you have a picky eater at home, I'm going to decorate this with beautiful figs straight from the backyard. Voila!
Beautiful, Magda. Thank you so much for sharing. And just a reminder, we are going to be dropping the recipe into the comments so you can check that out. That looks delicious.
Now I just need some friends to come over and share this with.
Awesome. Well, Sonia, I'm going to let you take it away next. You have a delicious recipe that you have in your cookbook as well that we will be sharing.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. This is one of my favorite go-to recipes. It is a veggie burger, but the word veggie burger makes it sound like those frozen nasty things that you get. This is more of like a bean and oat patty, and it's delicious. And the reason why I wanted to share this in particular was because there's a lot of friends that I have that they don't really want to eat plant-based, but they want to just add in some healthier foods. And this has been a favorite for like my nieces and nephews who are 10 and under. They actually like it. My like sister-in-law likes it. My father, like everybody seems to like this, even if they normally eat meat burgers. And another reason why I really like this recipe is because you can see in the ingredients behind Celia there that there's a lot of different things in there. So it has tons and tons of flavor, and each individual flavor added to this and spice added has a specific reason. And one of the huge benefits of eating a plant-based diet is that it is an anti-inflammatory diet. Like we all know that eating like vegetables and things like that are good for you, but also adding in things like a variety of spices. Spices have incredible antioxidant power. You guys have definitely heard of turmeric if you are familiar with spices, but there's some other things in there that maybe you haven't tried cooking with. And garlic powder, cumin, and chili powder, as you can see on the bottom of that list, those are regular stars in my cooking. I'm not making it today, but you could use those spices in particular if you want to just make your own sweet potato fries or yam fries. I just chop it up, I mix all of those spices in, and then I just stick it in the oven. So that's a really nice sidecar dish to what I'm about to do. So I'm going to start with the finished product. This is a little bit messy. So I made one version already, and it also takes about 20 minutes in the oven. So I didn't want everybody sitting around staring at my face for 20 minutes while it cooked.
Drooling.
Yeah, so this is what a finished product looks like. You can change the texture or the way it looks, but I tried to make it as blended as possible. So for the people that are used to burgers that look like, you know, this, it smells really good, really aromatic. I think they kind of look like cookies. So that's gonna be our finished product. I currently hear my 7-month-old baby screaming with joy upstairs playing with my husband. So that's kind of a fun side show. Okay, so
Baby knows that Mama's cooking.
I've previously chopped up a bunch of these things, and the biggest challenge with this recipe is the food processing part, because not everything will cut and blend equally in the food processor, and not everybody has like a high power food processor. So essentially the food processor's job is to mix everything together. A high power food processor will give you this type of texture. If you don't have a high power food processor, you'll just see bigger chunks of oats and nuts and things like that. And if you're a texture person, you might actually prefer bigger chunks of nuts and oats and beans. And that's actually, I enjoy a lot of texture. So normally I wouldn't make them quite this blended. All right, so if you're gonna blend this in stages, my recommendation would be to start with all the wet stuff first. So in this bowl, I have our onions, and so I had to improvise a little bit with some of the ingredients because I ran out of red onion. And the reason why I prefer red onion, as Magda mentioned, is eating the rainbow is really important. And the more vibrant color there is in your food, the more vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients. So I actually pick red onion over yellow onion because of that reason. It's brighter and there's more phytonutrients. We also have parsley, and you can use flat leaf, which is what I like, or you can use the curly parsley. And then we have mushrooms, and mushrooms are actually high in vitamin D. Everybody probably is interested in vitamin D, takes a supplement or goes and spends lots of time in the sun. But mushrooms are really awesome. And they also give a really nice, there's a word called umami, which is like translates to meaty deliciousness. So like a really nice flavor, so that whenever you're eating your food, you feel that, like I feel so comforted. I feel so like good whenever I eat this. So I'm just gonna pour this in, and there's a little bit of tamari in here. And I use tamari instead of, tamari is a type of soy sauce. So instead of just adding salt, I like tamari because it has its own nutrients, and I really like the flavor of it. You might have a difficult time with your food processor. This is a new one, and I have to admit that before, when I was making this other version, it took me a while to get this thing actually working, and I felt kind of stupid. Like, I can't get this thing to start blending. So be patient with your kitchen equipment. I pre-chopped the mushrooms. A hack that you can do is at the grocery store, you can actually buy them pre-chopped if you hate chopping and don't have time, but it's cheaper and it uses less packaging if you just buy them out of the bulk section. So let's see if it turns on. Okay, good.
Hey.
All right. So I have chopped up the mushrooms into really small pieces. If you don't have a food processor, you can still make this meal. You just have to hand chop everything and then mix it in a big bowl on your own. So the food processor just makes things quicker. I'm going to give you one quick tip that I learned recently about using a knife. So
I love tips. I can't wait to learn this.
this is my favorite knife. I think that it's a Shun knife. There's no sponsorship or affiliate or anything like that. It's just what I like. But having a good kitchen knife that you like personally and you enjoy using and that's sharp is key to wanting to cook in your kitchen. Like if I'm at an Airbnb or something and the knives suck, like it's terrible. So invest in a good kitchen knife. Put that on your Christmas list, whatever. That's part of adulting. So I like this. And I took a class, it was an online class about how to refine your chopping skills. And I have a long way to go. But I used to chop like this, thinking like I got this handle, or maybe chop like this. But this doesn't give you a lot of control over the blade. So what I learned is you actually hold the knife, like my fingers aren't underneath, but you actually hold the knife like this. And you cut like this. And it feels really weird at first, but this is like how they train chefs to cut. And then instead of having your fingers out like this, you make bunny ears and you cut. I don't know how to do it with the camera, but yeah. So like hold your knife like this, make rabbit ears with your fingers, and that makes it better to cut, and you're gonna get a lot more control over the knife. So if you don't have a food processor and you're chopping, that's what I recommend.
Great tips. Thank you for sharing.
All right. The next thing is I'm going to add beans. If you can't find Adzuki beans, you can use black beans. Again, this recipe is highly adaptable. And if you're new to cooking, it is very comforting to follow a recipe exactly as it shows on the screen. But as you get more comfortable, you can adjust things. Like you can add more or less spice. Like I like my food very, very like flavorful. So if it's too much for you, back off on the spices. The reason why I like lots of beans and like Magda used red lentils in hers is, and I think lentils might be like a seed also. Magda, do you know?
Yams, yeah.
So I really like beans because they are linked to longevity, and they also are high in lots of nutrients that we as athletes need. Like we want protein, we want iron. There's lots of other things, but adding in as many beans as you can is going to make you like feel really good. And also, if you've never had beans before, or you like barely have ever had beans, I don't recommend eating a ton of beans all at once because all of your gut flora needs to get used to all this fiber that you're putting in. So if you are new to beans, just start using little amounts so that you can start getting all those gut flora accustomed to eating beans, and all the really good gut flora, whenever you feed it lots of vegetables and beans and things like that, it's going to make you healthier because the gut is like our second brain. And in fact, 90% of serotonin starts in the gut. So if you want to feel good, definitely pay attention to gut health. There's a new book that came out this year called Fiber Fueled, and there's a 4-week meal plan in the back, and it has all the information and more than you could ever guess about the gut. Okay, so I'm going to dump my beans in. So you can use Adzuki, you can use black beans, you can use, I've never tried pinto beans in here, but you can try that. So you can see I'm blending this in stages because I'm guessing most people don't have a large, crazy food processor. So I got to figure out how to use it. Again, this is new for me. I got like a higher powered one because I was getting tired of the low power guy. We'll just do that. Beans are in, done. Next step is I'm just gonna, I put all my spices in here. So sometimes we don't have time to spend 20 minutes straight in the kitchen, or maybe we hate being in the kitchen for 20 minutes straight. And I know like a baby, like I am always scrambling to get little things done as much as possible. And it's about looking at the big picture, but trying to just do as many little things as you can. And at the end of the day, you're like, wow, I actually accomplished a lot, but it doesn't feel like it because concentrated work is what makes you feel like you've achieved something. And that's why like focus and not multitasking, that's why we feel like really good after we do something. But if you can look back at all the small things you did throughout the day, then you'll see it adds up to a big, beautiful picture. So if you are making lots of things, like I just mixed all the spices in one bowl. It took me like only a few minutes. And then later I came back and you can see I had different bowls here that are now empty, but I just mix stuff in the bowls. That way later I can just dump it all in whenever I'm ready to actually have dinner. So I'm gonna dump my spices in.
Wonderful pro tip, Sonia. Do you mind going over which spices those are that you're putting into the food process?
So I got chili powder, and you can get, actually, I'm a New Mexican living in Canada, but I like spice, and you can actually get New Mexican chili powder, which is gonna give you a big spicy advantage to this. Chili powder itself is more like if you never had it, it's kind of like a nacho flavor in a way. It's like that. I don't know how to explain it, but it's really good. We also have oregano. We have cumin, and the cumin is optional because some people really don't like cumin, but I love cumin. In fact, if you want to really geek out on cumin, you could buy the seeds and you could roast them in a pan, and the aroma in your kitchen will like make everybody say, wow, what's that? We have garlic powder, which is incredible. And we also have, I have it for some reason higher up in the list, but ground turmeric. And you can also use raw turmeric in here. Beware, because it is spicy and has a lot of flavor. It's very potent. I actually put raw turmeric in my smoothies. And the nice thing about smoothies, and I know I'm digressing a bit, but if you're using ginger and turmeric, a pro tip there is you don't have to peel it, you just throw it right in. Okay. So, and again, we like spices because there's a lot of anti-inflammatory properties in spices. So just add in as many as you can. And I'm not blending it because the spices are already powders. Okay, in this bowl, like the mega bowl here, we got oats. And oats are, if you're breastfeeding, actually, oats are really awesome for helping the body produce more milk. And I can't remember, it breaks down into something for the gut, actually, that helps signal hormones. So fun tip. We like walnuts in here. Walnuts are an amazing omega-3, and we want omega-3s in our diet because, again, they're good for the brain, they're good for anti-inflammatory, and we need healthy fats in our diet. And I also have miso paste. Miso paste comes in, like, there's different kinds, but it might look like this. And if you've had miso soup, it's basically just miso paste with water and like a little bit of tofu and green onion. So if you really like the taste of miso, it's amazing and concentrated, and again, has that lovely umami, easy for me to say, umami flavor. And I also have tahini, and tahini is another like delicious, healthy fat. It's made from sesame seeds. So that's going to give us a lot of extra flavor, healthy fats, and texture to our meal here. So we're going to dump it in. And normally it's not this clean when I'm cooking. This is for the Facebook show here. The first batch,
share that secret with us.
There was a broken glass when I was trying to frantically clean the kitchen. Like, this is real life, people. This isn't like some, yeah. And you're gonna get a little bit dirty. Your kitchen's gonna get a little bit dirty, but that's okay. Like, that means you're doing it right. If you're cooking out of packages that you unzip, that's when your kitchen never gets dirty. So we want to eat as many whole foods as we can. Sometimes we need to eat foods that we unzip, but you know, opting to eat as clean of a diet as you can. And here you can see me struggling with this thing again. Got it.
Yay.
Turn it on. Got a little bit of water on the counter here. Wow.
Well, Sonia, I have a question that came in from our audience, if you don't mind, answering a question right now. So this one is coming in from Jen, and she's asking, is there an added benefit of Adzuki beans over black beans or a different bean?
There isn't really a benefit other than flavor and what you feel like. I picked Adzuki beans because it's something different. A lot of times we use black beans. I'm sure there is a nutritional difference between the two. I don't know it off the top of my head. But yeah, I just picked Adzuki beans because it's something unique and different, and the flavor is a little bit different for people who may shy away from black beans. So you can use whatever beans you like. Sometimes Adzuki beans are hard to find at the grocery store for some reason. Or you could experiment. You could do half and half. Like, I have a friend who puts half Adzuki, half black. And really what we want for ultimate health is a diversity of plant foods in our diet. And Magda has that with her rainbow salad, which is incredible. If you want a diversity of beans for added health benefits, you could do that. So just doing as much as you can to just add in lots of different types, because again, that's what feeds our gut flora. We're actually more, in terms of like number of cells, there's way more gut bacteria than there are human cells in us. So that's another really geeky fun fact. So you can see me stirring this. I just didn't quite blend it so much because I want a little bit more texture in the second batch. Now this is where things are going to get a little bit messy because I use my hands to form the burgers. I'm keeping an eye on what time it is here because I don't want to take all the time.
Oh no, it's the main course. We know this always takes the longest.
So normally I have a silicone mat. This is a piece of parchment paper. it just makes it easier to clean up, because how many of us hate scraping the stuff off of our pan? I hate that. I don't have a silicone mat here. I'm actually in Squamish right now. Woo! And it's not hot. It's really rainy, but that makes for the riding really fun. There's lots of mud and slip and slide and very much fall confetti of leaves all over the trail.
Oh, beautiful.
So it's awesome. Okay, so I'm only gonna put a few on here. Another pro tip when you're making cookies or burgers and stuff where you're using your hands and stuff sticks to your hands is I just wet my hands under the sink, or you could have a little bowl of water, or just get your hands a little bit wet, because then stuff doesn't stick to your fingers quite as much. So it depends on what size burger you like. Depends on bun size, all that. So there is no right or wrong burger size, but that's about the size that I like. You can see there's nothing really stuck on my hands because I wet my hands. And I'm just putting it down on the parchment paper here. Oh yeah, I left this out to show you the tahini. If you've never seen tahini, very good. I'm blinking on nutritional benefits of tahini. A website that I really enjoy is nutritionfacts.org. You can type in any of these ingredients and they have all the evidence-based papers and overview of all of these different foods. Or you could type in anything, like if you have asthma, type in asthma. If you are curious about nitrate-rich vegetables, like Magda mentioned putting arugula on your salad, and arugula is actually one of the most, I think it is the most nitrate-rich vegetable on the planet. More than beets, more than rhubarb. Basil is also one that you might be surprised about. So nitrate-rich vegetables, why do we like them? We like nitrate-rich vegetables because, sorry, I got stuff now on my hands. There, gotta do my squats while I cook, because we like nitrate-rich vegetables because they help oxygen flow better through our veins and arteries. And they, like, basically they open everything up for us. So there's been some studies done with beet juice that if people had beet juice, I can't remember the exact study, but it was before their run, and it improved like 5K running times by, and again, don't quote me on this, but it was something like a minute. It was something very significant. So something that I do is I just always am eating nitrate-rich vegetables. And if you hate making salads, I actually just eat arugula straight out of the bag. I just like grab a handful and I just jam it in my mouth, because greens are something that are like super key for us to be eating. And a lot of times, like, it's just hard to sit down and say, okay, I'm gonna have a salad now, when you're like hungry and you just want something. So have it pre-made like Magda did. But like having just a bag of greens and just eating a handful here and there. That's like, a handful is like a cup, and you'll see big benefits. And if you start paying attention to how you feel, you actually feel like a boost of energy after you eat a handful of greens. And it sounds crazy, but it's true. Okay,
I have to say, you shared that tip a few years ago at one of your wonderful talks at our Goo booth at Sea Otter, and I've really enjoyed that. So thanks.
So there they are. They look like cookies, kind of. And we just put them in the oven, which will just, there we go. Our pro video camera. I got my own crew here called my backup.
Awesome. So Sonia, this recipe that we'll be posting in the comments yields about 6 patties. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was 6. So there's a little bit left in here. I think there's 6 on there. Yeah, there's 6 on there. 6 in a mini.
Nice.
And if you want to taste it before you put it in the oven, there's no like raw eggs or raw meat or anything. You can just like, it's just ingredients. You can just eat it. It's good.
Yum, I love that. And then can you remind us how, what temperature and how long you put it in the oven?
So I have my oven set for 375, and you want it for about 20 minutes, but it depends on the type of oven. Like this is a gas powered oven and it tends to cook things a bit quicker. So I keep an eye on it, but you can't really you just want it to be formed. You don't want it to be burned on the outside. It's not going to be like raw, like a cookie on the inside if you don't cook it long enough, but basically long enough where you see that there's like edges and form around it so that it can stay on your bun.
Perfect. That's delicious. All right. Now let's have fun with the bun. What's your favorite kind of bun to use for your...
Yeah, the buns. All the jokes you can make about buns.
Oh,
I'm very picky about buns. A lot of times are these like giant white bread things with no flavor, and it depends. Like in Squamish, there's not a lot of like gourmet grocery stores where you can find good buns. So I am not using buns. I'm using sourdough. I like
love
sourdough.
sourdough.
Sourdough is technically white bread, but it has fermented stuff. I don't know the technical term, and I really like it. But Silver Hills is a bakery. It's actually out of Canada, but I think it's available everywhere. And they make a delicious sprouted multigrain bun, and that's what I normally buy whenever I could find it. Buy something that you enjoy eating. Period. Like it does. There's no like magical bun. Just find something that you're gonna eat.
I think that's an awesome tip. Now, how much protein would you estimate is in each patty?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I am not sure.
A lot.
I think lots because our protein sources are going to be the beans, the walnuts, and the oats. I might be able to calculate that while Magda is showing us her dessert.
Ooh, I like that. Okay, I have one more question for you quick that does not have to do with the burger patties, but do you have any pro tips for cooking tofu?
Yes, well, number one, you can just dry fry it. Like you don't need oil. I just cut it up. I actually like to buy smoked tofu. It has delicious flavor. You can marinate tofu just like you would chicken. You can just Google like tofu marinades or some. I go to BrendaDavisRD.com. That's one of my friends, and she's a world-class dietitian with some free recipes there for tofu. And Thug Kitchen is a really funny cookbook with lots of expletives. And if you guys have seen my Moxie and Grit line of socks with all the cuss words on them, you know I'm not shy. So yeah, check out Thug Kitchen. They have some amazing tofu marinades as well. Another thing you can do with tofu, if you're just trying to get that soy and the soy protein, is you can take soft tofu and you can make sauces with it, or you could blend it into a smoothie. And real quick about soy, a lot of people are worried about soy. Like, am I going to get man boobs if I eat soy? Am I going to get breast cancer if I eat soy? What about the phytoestrogens? And the amazing thing about soy is that it actually is a great cancer preventer. And they looked at studies of people in Asia, countries where people eat a lot of soy, and there is a lot of lower incidences of cancers. And then they did a little bit more research as to why. And on the cells, it's like lock and key. And your estrogen, and men have estrogen too, by the way, but estrogen will sit inside like the key. So if you have a lot of excess estrogen, it's just going to be binding onto all of these cells. The phytoestrogen also will fit into that key. So a lot of hormone-based diseases are going to be preventable by eating more soy products. And you're not going to get man boobs. In fact, dairy will cause you to get man boobs.
Great to know. Thank you so much. Well, so we have our delicious salad. We have our delicious main course. I mean, we're still a little hungry, right? I mean, who's going to say no to dessert? Well, thank you, Sonia, for that wonderful recipe. I'm going to pitch this back up to Magda, who has a delicious dessert and healthy recipe for us all to learn now.
Awesome, welcome back. So let's take for I think some takeaways, from the salad and from the burger. You can actually combine them together. You can put that burger on top of that salad and it would be a great combo. But I think the main takeaway there is also that we talked about gut health and all the fiber coming from all the vegetables and fruit and the nuts and seeds that we put in. Just one type of fiber is not going to be the key to healthy gut. It's all about variety. So getting variety, getting a rainbow, you will get diversity in all the types of fiber, and that is going to increase your diversity and your microbiome. Dessert. Dessert doesn't always mean that you are, going to eat a bunch of junk food. You can make healthy dessert. And today, we actually want to feature a recipe. We're making pumpkin almond butter cookies. I always
very seasonal.
Very seasonal. That's right. I mean, who doesn't love pumpkin, right?
Absolutely.
Using just pumpkin puree in the recipe, but we're not using just almond butter. We're using Boon almond butter. So chai spice is the choice for this recipe. Again, our tri-spice almond butter is obviously made with almonds, which are great plant source of protein, great source of magnesium, but also we're using ginger in it and pumpkin spice flavors. So lots of cinnamon and nutmeg, great for, great for the fall. So this recipe is actually really, really simple. What I have here in front of me, I'm not sure if you can see, but I pretty much have almond butter. For those who are vegan, I made flax egg, but you could use a regular egg. And the way you make a flax egg is that you put 1 tablespoon of ground flax seeds, and you put 2.5 tablespoons of water, and you just let it sit for 5 minutes. Again, great omega fatty acids, but also combines all the ingredients together. We are using oat flour today. However, you could use just oats if you don't want to use the fine flour. It's just ground oats. More good carbs and more fiber. We have our pumpkin. Remember when we talked about a rainbow? This is another source of of orange in your recipe, and good source of carotenoids. We've got more pumpkin spice, even though I already have pumpkin spice in the almond butter. I love to add a little bit more, especially when you're baking, because I also love bold flavors. We have coconut sugar. We have a little bit of sea salt, baking soda, and I love to squeeze in chocolate wherever.
Oh, yes, please.
Talk about chocolate also, good quality chocolate. I've used in this recipe dark chocolate, my choice today. Looking for it's right in front of me. My choice today is actually local Berkeley Cho chocolate, and it's 1%. So it's high in iron. You don't get all of your iron from chocolate, but it's such a delicious to these cookies. So, and what I do is, if you don't have chocolate chips, you can just take chocolate bar that you have at home and just use your knife to chop it. It goes in a cookie, so it doesn't matter.
And now we have better knife chopping skills thanks to Sonia.
You know what? And knives do matter. So I want to second what Sonia said. And a good knife is everything in the kitchen. So I do have my Japanese knife, which is great, longer blade. It's great for vegetables and softer stuff. Different knives are meant for different types of textures. So I second that, and it's really great for chopping chocolate as well. So really simple recipe. We're gonna put everything into one bowl. You don't have to start with first wet, separate dry. You can just put everything at once. So we're gonna start with the Boon tri-spice almond butter. We're going to put the flax egg again. If you want to use a regular egg, that's okay too. But flaxseeds are a great source of omega fatty acids. Pumpkin puree. There we go. Oat flour or oats.
I have a quick question from Vicky, who actually asked, can you substitute all-purpose flour for the oat flour?
I do. I try to get as much, nutrient-dense ingredients into desserts as well. So
Okay.
Again, you could put oats, but it just increases the nutrient density in my dessert. A little bit of coconut sugar. You could definitely use white flour if you don't have oat flour. Baking soda.
Awesome, thank you.
Spices, and I'm gonna wait with the chocolate. I'm going to put chocolate at the very end. So we're gonna mix
I
this.
even see we're gonna start snacking on that chocolate.
Just like Sonia's burger, you could definitely, dip your finger and eat it. And this recipe does not have any raw ingredients that you might get ill from. So I cheated a little bit and I already prepared my mixture. I mixed it really well. And what we're going to do is, so this is what it looks like when it's nice and mixed.
Ooh, perfect.
Like pinky dough consistency.
Seriously.
And we're also going to go with your cookie dough tray, and I also use parchment paper. And it's really simple. We're just, again, I like to play around with, with different size of the cookie dough going on a tray. Have fun with it. Does not need to be precise. Depends if you like the cookies to be a little bit smaller, if you like them to be a little bit larger. Kind of just go with your gut feeling, because why not, right? So again, this recipe is, filled with just good, good ingredients for you. Almonds packed with protein, oat flour, it's got a good amount of protein, as well as some good minerals like magnesium, and your pumpkin puree. So good for your eyes, right? Just like carrots. So I'm separating a little bit of space, social distancing or physical distancing.
Year of social distancing.
You might need a larger for the recipes that I put up there. It's probably a larger tray, but this is just an example. Chocolate on top. Again, you can do chocolate chips if you want. You can even mix in the chocolate inside the dough, so kind of play around. Cooking is all about having fun, right? It's supposed to taste good, but also you're supposed to enjoy making.
Yes, bring you joy, especially while you get excited while you throw those in the oven.
So this is
Ooh.
the recipe, and I could have used a bigger tray, but magic is going to happen. I'm going to put this on 350 into the oven, 350 degree Fahrenheit, for about 15 minutes. I'll be right back.
It's so fast.
I love the cooking show magic.
Like the most amazing 15 minutes, really quick. But so this is not a crispy cookie. It's more, with the pumpkin in it and the nut butter in it, which again, increased protein in a cookie from the nut butters. It's more of a chewy, kind of nice ball. You can dip it in your, favorite, maybe pumpkin latte as well. Why not?
Ooh, yum.
It's, it's fall. It's fall season. So chocolate, pumpkin puree, all good things for you, and almond butter. So again, we started with chai spice, but if you don't know about Boone, so Gu is on a new journey making nut butters and stroopwafels with Boone. But you can pick any flavor you want with pumpkin, right? So we also have cinnamon spice if you wanted to do different take on pumpkin. If you're a ginger lover, ginger and pumpkin, great ginger spice. And who doesn't like pumpkin and chocolate? And
Oh, yeah.
so I love to combine flavor as well. So many choices to pick from, and to have fun with making some delicious foods. So voila, cookies.
Can I jump in about your recipe? That's something I noticed. So in a lot of cookie recipes, you'll see added oil, like canola oil or like whatever, butter. And almond butter, especially the flavors of the Boone almond butter, are incredible because it gives you an added benefit of flavor to your cookies. But the almond butter is in place of using an oil. So not only are you getting delicious almond butter, which everybody loves, but you are not having these refined oils added to your baking. And that is such a great thing to be doing. And thanks for showing that. I love it.
Yes, so pure oils. Obviously, you separate the fiber. It's like juicing versus smoothies, right? You want that nutrient dense portion of the olive oil. So or olives, instead of just separating. Obviously, I use olive oil as as a dressing on my salad. But in baking, I love using nut butter as a source of not just protein but also all healthy fats. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that delicious dessert recipe. And just a reminder, we have put a note in the comments that we have a special offer on the Boone almond butters that Magda was just describing. So use the code ABC Boone at eatboone.com and you can purchase a jar of that delicious almond butter and then get a free box of our stroopwafels too. So this has been really informative. I'm starving over here. I cannot wait to actually follow your recipes. I think one thing that I've taken away, besides having fun while cooking, these are easy. Even though it may look a bit overwhelming reading the recipe on a piece of paper, like taking it step by step and understanding, like you can do some prep work ahead of time and it doesn't have to be stressful in the kitchen. You can have fun doing it. I just want to thank both of you so much. And I want to wrap this with one overarching question is, can you each talk about your approach to nutrition during the competitive season versus the off season?
Absolutely. Maybe, Sonia, do you want me to jump in?
I go for it.
All right, I'll start. I think that, when I'm in, training mode and I focus on an event, it's really, really critical for me to have a different approach to eating. And I take that approach, like with GU, we say eating is training. And just like you use periodization in your training where you have high intensity days and high volume days, and you have recovery days, right? Same goes for nutrition. So on my high volume days, I make sure that I actually eat more. And that time, I talked about timing being everything, right? So you want to tailor your nutrition to the demand that you put on your body. So when I work a lot harder on certain days, my quality days, my long days, I tend to really focus on the timing of when I use my recovery nutrition. But most people don't really think about like right before training. I tend to avoid certain things. So as much as I love my everything by the kitchen sink salad, this would not translate to a great speed session at high intensity if I had that right before. So timing is everything. Think about
why do you say that?
Because it's rich in fiber, and guess what? Fiber makes you want to go do. Now, fiber is great for you, but timing is key of when you have that. So you need to allow your food, you need time to allow your food to digest and get the benefit from it, right? So
this makes sense.
Between hard sessions, making sure that you recover and you get your glycogen restored and you stay hydrated between sessions, and obviously getting protein into right after. Same goes for before. Making sure that you don't load your digestive system in a way that it's taking time and energy and blood flow digesting while you're working out. You need the blood flow to go to your working muscles. So you want to focus on easily digestible stuff. I'll have my toast or stroopwafel with nut butter, and stay hydrated and I'm ready to go, versus thinking about my rainbow and my quinoa salad, which is gonna force me to go into a porta potty after my second interval. So time is everything, and I'm a lot more mindful of that when I'm training, for something that is a lot more intense, versus when off season, my training is a lot lower intensity. I can take a little bit more risk, eat a little bit closer to my to my training session, and have a lot more variety right before. So I'm a little bit more relaxed, versus being like right in the middle of a heavy training cycle or a season.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that you nailed it on the head. The closer you get to your intensity, the more simple the food. So like the night before a race, like I'm not going to be eating a lot of like salads and like whole bean You can blend things to break down and make things like easier to digest. But like the night before a race, I'm going to be eating like a pasta with probably some pasta sauce that I made, and then maybe some tofu because that's easier to digest. But after the race, I'm going to be eating lots of high fiber foods, not immediately after, but like later that day, because again, we have the anti-inflammatory benefits of that. And it's going to help us recover faster and help us feel really good. Another thing that we haven't really talked about much is supplements. GU makes some really amazing high quality supplements, and there's some really like people get confused about supplements. Like, well, what's actually in the supplement? Is this safe for sport? Am I going to get contamination? And GU is actually certified so that you don't have to worry about contamination. But you have your branched chain amino acids, you have electrolytes, and you have magnesium, and those are
right here.
Yeah, so those are going to help you with recovery. Like I take electrolytes in the workout and sometimes before if it's really hot out. But I take magnesium at bedtime. I take probiotics occasionally in the mornings. I don't take them every day. And then those BCAAs right after will help you recover better. And one quick thing, you guys, someone asked about the protein in the burgers. There's about 10 to 11 grams per burger. And then if you're eating a whole grain bun, like if you're eating sprouted whole grain, you're gonna get like a lot of protein. Like I think there's 7 grams of protein in one piece of sprouted whole grain bread. So now you're like jacking that up. If you have 2 pieces of that and you have your burger, you're at like 20 plus grams of protein. And like we don't need like crazy amount. Like know how much protein you need. You need I believe it's 1.5 to 2.5 grams per kilogram of body weight for athletes. That's what's recommended by both like the USA and Canada in sport nutrition. And if you're getting too much protein, it actually is hard on your kidneys. So that's just something to keep in mind. So ask yourself, yes, protein is important. We need protein, but how much do I actually need? And make sure you calculate that for your weight because you could be overdoing it.
Right. What Sonia said is also, portion your protein throughout the day. So she talked about muscle breakdown. You want to make sure that you have constant, protein coming from your breakfast, from your snack, versus overloading too much all at once. And pro tip for older athletes is the older you get, the more protein you need to preserve your muscle. So yes, like GU Energy Labs puts, branched amino building blocks of protein in most of our products, but the older you get, the more you actually need to preserve that muscle, which we continue to break down our muscle when we exercise, right? So sneaking it in, from almond butter, from, BCAAs in the product just throughout the day versus overloading your system all at dinner and getting 100 grams of protein all at once.
Wonderful. Well, Magda and Sonia, thank you so much. We now all have 3 new recipes that we can add to our quivers. And not only did we learn some great recipes, but we learned a lot of great tips and great reasons behind why each of the ingredients are used. So I just want to say again, a big thank you. And I can't wait to make and try these recipes on my own. And we really can't wait to hear how all of you that tuned in enjoy making it on your own too. So with that, have a wonderful night, everybody.
Thank you.